Hello, hello, hello. Big D here, and on a Sunday night, and you know what that means. It's time to recap my Week 13 catch game lineup. Before I tell you about my lineup, please subscribe, like, and share to the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page, which is where you are seeing this podcast. Also, check out the Big D podcast on Spotify and Apple. So, boy, what a day! What a day. I am exhausted from all this CFS fantasy football catch game knowledge. I'm glad the week 13 main slate is over because now I don't have to grind over who to use anymore. I mean, it is so exhausting figuring out which guys to use, which guys to fade in these catch game entries. I mean, goodness. Maybe I should have picked an easier hobby. But let me tell you, there were some games that I knew could become shootouts, and some games that I thought included a possibility of shootout. And be honest, the one game that I thought included a realistic chance of shootout was the Washington football team against the Las Vegas Raiders. That looked like a potential shootout in making, and that absolutely bombed. Absolutely bombed. Washington won 17-15. 17-15. I said 17-15. Really? Really? 17-15. Come on, man. 17-15. What is this, a Big Ten game? Is this Iowa playing Purdue? Or Northwestern playing Minnesota? Really? I mean, I told you if the Las Vegas Raiders played well, it's generally based on how well Derek Hall plays. Well, today, 28-38, 249, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Not good. Not good. You're not going to win too many games if you're not really doing much through the game, especially nowadays. Uh, I went back and forth over this next guy, whether or not to use Antonio Gibson. I didn't originally put him in my lineup. Then I put him in my lineup. And then stupidly I took him out when I heard Sony Michel was going to play for the Rams. And Antonio Gibson ran the ball 23 times for 88 yards, caught 5 passes for 23 yards and a touchdown. So that would be 101 total yards, 5 receptions, and a touchdown for $5,700. Would have got you like 20 some odd points. And I'll tell you in a little bit how those points could have mattered with one of my bombs today. But I was right with Hunter Renfrow. I knew Hunter Renfrow would play well, especially with his ability to catch passes in the slot. 9 catches for 102 yards, so he got the 100-yard bonus. Such a PPL monster. Hunter Renfrow is not gonna break one up the field. I mean, he's not Jamal Chase, Justin Jefferson capable of making big plays. But he's great in that 10, 15-yard A-dot range where he can make a 3rd and 5 and get 8 yards. He's like, I'm not saying Hunter Renfrow's Julian Edelman, but he plays that similar role in the slot. So Renfrow's that security blanket. And when the Raiders not really having that security blanket without Darren Wall today, Renfrow was going to be Cole's guy on 3rd down. And speaking of tight ends, I thought the biggest bust of the day, or one of the biggest busts, Foster Moreau. I said, played him in every catch game you could. And guess how many passes he caught? 1 ball. He caught 1 ball for 34 yards on 3 targets. Josh Jacobs caught 9 passes, and Foster Moreau caught 1. Really? This was a gross slate for value. Yeah, all the cheap guy, cheap running backs go off, except the ones I use, and the cheap tight end everyone uses does piddly squat. Really? And then, fortunately, Zay Jones, as the Raider passing attack, really didn't do much against the Washington football team. Only called 3 passes for 21 yards. So, really, other than Antonio Gibson, Hunter Renfro, and Logan Thomas, this was a bust for fantasy and DFS standards. I apologize if anybody used Cole, Moreau, or Jones because those were not the best plays today. I apologize. So now we get to my lineup in general, and be honest, I went back and forth with a couple guys. Quarterback, I thought about using Tom Brady and what would likely be a shooter against the Atlanta Falcons. I knew Brady could easily hit the 300-yard bonus. I'm thinking back on it. I thought Call looked fine, 6 Ram, but Gardner Minshew at $4,000, especially with the Jets' crappy defense, was definitely the play. I mean, looking back on it, getting a couple of touchdowns, getting over 200 yards, Minshew more than exceeded his value at $4K. And with that salary savings, you could have literally played anybody. You could have played Jonathan Taylor 9 grand, going over 100 yards and scoring multiple touchdowns. You could have played Gibson. You could have played Madison, even though he didn't quite reach his value. You could have played a couple other guys. Trying to think. No, not just Derek Hall busted today, but Jamal Williams at 50. Let me see if I can find his 5,400 was a big disappointment for the. Yes, the Detroit Lions finally won the day. Thank goodness that there will be no winless teams this year. Everybody's got to win. But Jonathan Williams was a big disappointment, only scoring 9 DK points at 5,400. I thought he looked like a great catch play, especially with what he did on Thanksgiving. I really thought Williams was going to be a PPR monster, and that really didn't transpire. Yeah, and Sony Michel, I switched from Gibson to Michel because I knew the Jags defense didn't have a prayer of stopping the Rams, particularly Kupp and Michel. And Michel did very well. Ran 121 yards, scored a touchdown, and be honest, probably should have scored a couple more, but the Rams still put up 37 on my Jags, so they literally could have done whatever. And wide receiver, Cooper Kupp was an easy play for me. Against the Jags, we've struggled against every kind of receiver this year, and Kupp's really good, especially at home. Eight more receptions for 129 yards and a touchdown. Cooper Kupp's just good. If you want the 100-yard bonus every single week, Cooper Kupp's the guy. If you do like prop bets and it's like over under 100 yards, I'm probably taking the over every week with Kupp. He's just that good. And as you heard earlier, I played Renfro. He was fine. I went back and forth over the third receiver because there were a couple guys I really wanted to play. I really wanted Deontay Johnson to target monster as he proved tonight against the Ravens. Chris Godwin was going to be a target monster against the Falcons, caught 15 passes. But T. Higgins broke out last week, and I knew he could do the same this week. But I really wanted Michael Pittman. I thought he could make a couple plays, knowing what Kupp did against the same Texans defense a few weeks back. I mean, Pittman was okay. He caught 6 passes, 77 yards, got 33 more rushing yards. He was just, he was okay. Not great, but okay. But the problem wasn't Pittman scoring 17 points, but everybody else scoring loads more. because Godwin scored 33 points and $900 more expensive. Deontay Johnson caught 8 passes, 105 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Keenan Allen was a beast today. Even Devontae Parker, coming back from Miami, got 11 points at 3,900, which opened up a tremendous amount of value all across the board. So it's again one of those weeks. I knew it was going to be one of those weeks where it'd be very difficult not finding value, but finding the right value. Even James Conner today, running back, I think he got 17 points in that rain game against the Bears. So again, there was always going to be value. The question is, which value do you use and which value busted? And then, of course, I played Moreau as my tight end, Sony Michel as my flex, and then Miami defense. And Miami defense was okay. They got 9 points. The problem was Indy's defense was great. I think the Chargers defense put up a boatload of points. I think LA's defense put up 20 points or all kinds of picked off Burrow, fumble return for a touchdown. It was an odd game. Good day if you used both defense in the DK Millionaire. Good chance you probably did well if you played the right set. Yeah, maybe a Herbert, Keenan Allen, T. Higgins, Chargers stack today. You win all the money. So obviously it wasn't my best week, but every week offers its opportunities, and I'm glad we've got value. But can we have a week where we don't have so much value, and maybe it'd be easier to just find lineups? You're not running around for figuring out which 15 value plays. They're 3 or 4 value plays that we can use, and then figure out how to constitute your lineup. Because I want to play a running quarterback. I want to play the best running backs, particularly PPR run backs. I want to play a great number 1 receiver if at all possible, whether it be Kupp or Devontae Adams. So, again, it's a learning week, and we'll come at you next week. And I hope next week, week 14, brings plenty of charms, plenty of gold, and hopefully for everybody, plenty of big bucks. I'll see you later.